Hello friends, good morning everyone. Friends, today we are going to learn the physiology of urine formation. The urine formation in mammalian kidney, it involves the three types of activities or the three steps. One is the glomerular filtration or ultrafiltration. Second one is the tubular reabsorption or the selective reabsorption. Third one is the tubular secretion or the active secretion. So, friends, before proceeding further, we should have summarized some basics which we have learned in the previous video. Friends, in previous video, we have learned about what is the excretion, which are the different categories of the excretory products, which are the different type of excretory organs in the different animal groups. And we also studied briefly the introduction of the excretory system in the mammals, particularly in the human being. As well as we also studied the basic structural anatomy and basic structural terminology of the functional unit of the kidney or the urine formation, that is the structure of nephron or the uriniferous tubules. So, friends, the kidneys are the chief excretory organs which removes the toxic substances from the body. Due to the metabolic activities, the different type of the waste products or unwanted substances they are produced, and these unwanted substances or the waste products, they are either the byproducts or the end products, as they further not used by the body. Retention of these waste materials in the body, it becomes harmful to the body. Therefore, they should be excreted, and this excretion of this nitrogenous waste materials, this one is carried along with carried by these structural and functional units of kidney. These waste materials from the cells, they are carried along with the blood towards the kidney, and generally these nitrogenous waste materials, they are carried by the blood through this blood artery. This blood artery is called as the renal artery, and in the renal artery they are filtered. Before to this, we should have know the which components are present within the blood. In the blood, there are these cells, blood cells. We also call to this the blood corpuscles. These blood corpuscles are RBCs and the WBCs. Near about 55% of blood, it is composed of the plasma. This plasma is a fluid tissue, and this plasma, the various solutes are present or the dissolved components are present in the plasma, and these components, they may be the useful or there may be the unwanted or the waste components, they are also present within this plasma. Which are these? In the plasma, there are the water molecules. there are the glucose, there are amino acids, there are the electrolytes. Which electrolytes? There may be the sodium ions, there may be the potassium ions, there may be the calcium ions, there may be the chlorine ions, there may be the carbonate, bicarbonate ions. Beside this electrolytes, some fat molecules, they may be present in the blood, as well as there are some excess drugs, excess hormones, they are also present within the in the blood. And beside these substances, the nitrogenous materials, they are also present. There are the uric acids, there are the creatinines, there are the urea. These major nitrogenous waste materials are present within the blood. Beside this, there is the xanthic acid, there may be the ornithinic acid, hippuric acid, guanine, they may be found in trace amounts. So, all these solutes or the dissolved components, they are carried along with the blood by this renal artery into the kidney. So, we also summarize this structural unit of urine formation, that is the nephron. The nephron, it consists of a Malpighian body. This one is a Malpighian body. This Malpighian body, it is composed of a cup shaped double walled Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus. This glomerulus, this one is made up of from the blood vessels. From this renal artery, the arteriole arises. This one is called as the afferent arteriole. This afferent arteriole, it enters into this Bowman's capsule. Here it divides and redivides. Here it forms a compact mass of capillaries, and this compact mass of capillaries, this is called as the glomerulus. This one, the glomerulus, it lives by another blood capillary. This is called as the efferent artery. So, the blood capillary which enters into the Bowman's capsule, this one is the afferent arteriole, and which leaves the Bowman's capsule, this is called as the efferent arteriole, and the mass of this blood capillaries into the Bowman's capsule, this is called as the glomerulus. Beside this Malpighian body or the Bowman's capsule and glomerulus, here is the proximal cannulated tubule. This proximal cannulated tubule, it runs straight into the medulla of kidney as a descending limb. This one is a descending limb. It turns and forms a U-shaped loop. This is the Henle's loop. Again, it ascends and it enters into the cortex part of the kidney, and again it here forms the cannulated cannulations. This is called as the distal cannulated tubule, and this cannulated tubule, it opens into the collecting ducts. These are the collecting ducts. This is the structure of the uriniferous tubule or the nephron. Then let us we turn towards what is actually the glomerular filtration. The blood components which are carried by this renal artery or this afferent arteriole into this Bowman's capsule, they are filtered and they enters into this space. This space is called as the renal space. The filtration of plasma along with the solutes or the components dissolved in the plasma and accumulates in the space or the renal capsule or renal space. This is called as the renal filtration or the glomerular filtration. This glomerular filtration, this one is occurs with the help of this glomerulus. The glomerulus is suitable for the filtration of the plasma and the plasma contents. How? The walls of these blood capillaries or the glomerular capillaries, they are much thin. They are having the 2 micron thickness, as well as it is semi-permeable. The capillaries in this glomerular, they are having with the smaller pores. The microscopic pores are present and they measures the 800 to the 1000 angstrom unit. Through these pores or the semi-permeable nature of these capillaries, the plasma and plasma contents they filters in this region. This is the glomerular filtrate. The filtrate which is filtered by this glomerulus, this is the glomerular filtrate. This glomerular filtrate, it contains, it occurs due to the 2 physical factors. These 2 physical factors are, one is the osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure, this osmotic pressure is exerted by the colloidal substances inside and outside the lumen. The colloidal substances which are present in these blood capillaries and the lumen, they exert an pressure. This osmotic pressure, this one is opposing factor. Osmotic pressure is a opposing factor which opposes to the filtration from this region. The another factor, physical factor which promotes to the filtration is called as the blood pressure or hydrostatic pressure of the blood. This is the promoting factor. So, these 2 pressure, the osmotic pressure and the hydrostatic blood pressure, they are responsible for the filtration through this glomerulus. The blood capillaries which are present in this region or the blood pressure which is present in the different tubular parts, it is varies. In this afferent arteriole, there is 60 mmHg of blood pressure. This afferent arteriole, the diameter of afferent arteriole, it is larger than this efferent. The blood pressure in this glomerulus, it reduces, and here it is the 55 mmHg of blood pressure. and the arteriole which leaves this Bowen's capsule, that is the efferent arteriole, here again the blood pressure reduces and it measures 18 mmHg. And these peritubular capillaries, again here the blood pressure is reduced. The blood capillaries which are present in the region of this proximal convoluted tubule, here the pressure it is again reduced and it is 14 mmHg. So, and in the collecting tubule it is again less. So, look here, the two opposing factors, the pressures, the osmotic pressures. In this lumen, the colloidal substances, they create a pressure which opposes to the filtration, it is 30 mmHg, 30 mmHg. And the colloidal substances which are present in this blood capillaries, they are also having with the pressure of 15 mmHg. So, these two pressures, the pressure in outside the blood capillaries, it is 30 mmHg, and the osmotic blood pressure which is exerted by the colloidal substances in the blood capillaries, it is the 15 mmHg. These together form the 45 mmHg of the blood pressure. But in the glomerulus, here is the 55 mmHg of the blood pressure. So, this 55 mmHg of blood pressure minus this 45 mm of Hg. So, the final pressure which is present in this glomerulus, this one is the 10 mmHg. So, this difference in the pressure gradient, this is the pressure is more in the glomerulus. As the afferent arteriole is having with the more diameter or larger diameter, it receives more blood. It enters into this glomerulus there, and the afferent arteriole it have this smaller diameter. Therefore, this glomerulus it receives more and more blood from this afferent arteriole. Here a pressure created. This pressure is called like the hydrostatic pressure, which is more than these two opposing factors. Therefore, under the pressure the filtration occurs, and this filtration, the filtration of plasma and the plasma components occurs, and this enters into this region. This one is this is called as the glomerular filtration. This is glomerular filtration, which is occurred due to the pressure, hydrostatic pressure. Therefore, this is called as the ultrafiltration, and this one is called as the glomerular filtration because of this is filtered by the glomerulus. So, which components filters here? Along with the plasma, the water molecules, the glucose, amino acids, the proteins having with the low molecular weights, they are also filtered. Beside this, the electrolytes, sodium, potassium, chlorine, bicarbonates, calcium and vitamin C also filters. Beside this, the nitrogenous waste materials, uric acid, creatinine or the trace elements of nitrogenous waste, all these are filtered and enters into this renal space. This one is a glomerular filtrates. Here the glomerular filtrate occurs per minute or each minute is called as the GFR, glomerular filtrate rate. In both kidneys, in each minute, how much the filtrate occurs and at which rate it filters. This one is the glomerular filtrate rate. A human being weighing 70 kg and who is the healthy, through his kidney the 1200 ml of blood flows through the both kidneys per minute. In 1 minute, the 1200 ml of blood flows through the both kidneys. In this blood, here is the 225 ml of plasma filters per minute, means it enters into this region. Among these 625 ml of plasma and the plasma components, 20% they are filtered through this glomerulus by the process of ultrafiltration. Therefore, the 20% of this 625, it is the 125 ml. 125 ml of the filtrate is formed per minute through the both kidneys. It is in 1 minute. If we calculated this 125 ml for an hour, it will be, for example, the hour is of 60 minutes, then it will be near about the 7.5 liters per hour. This quantity is 7.5 liters per hour. This is an hour. In 1 hour, 7.5 liter of filtration occurs in the glomerular space. And if we calculated this for a day, means for the 24 hours, it will be, if we calculated this for the day, means for 24 hours, it will be the 180 liters per day. So, such a huge quantity of the filtration occurs in the both kidneys per day, 180 liters. So, this one is the glomerular filtration rate. In 1 minute, 125 ml filtrate occurs. In 1 hour, 7.5 liter of filtrate filters, and in a day 180 liter of the filtrate occurs in the both kidneys. So, this is the glomerular filtration. The filtration occurs through the glomerulus, it is glomerular filtrate, and it occurs with the hydrostatic force or by the hydrostatic force. Therefore, this is the ultrafiltration, filtration under the pressure, and its rate is how much the filtrate occurs per minute. So, this is the glomerular filtration. The next step of the urine formation is the tubular reabsorption. As the glomerular filtrates, it passes through the length of lumen, means it passes through this proximal convoluted tubule to the descending limb, the Henle's loop, and then ascending limb and collecting. The useful substances which were previously filtered, these as like the glucose or amino acids, water the sodium ions and other electrolytes. These are reabsorbed in the course of the passing through these different lumens. These are reabsorbed. This is called as the tubular reabsorption. Here, the reabsorption of these components, it occurs the passively or the actively. The water is reabsorbed passively, whereas the other components, they are reabsorbed by these peritubular fluids actively. The proximal convoluted tubule, which is present in the cortex region, it is lined by the columnar cells. Such type of columnar cells are lined, internally lined. The PCT is lined internally by the columnar cells. These columnar cells, they forms the finger-like projections as like this, which collectively looks like a brushboard. These finger-like projections of columnar cells, they increases the surface area for the absorption of these substances. As the filtrate it passes through this region, most of the useful substances, the glucose, amino acids, water, sodium, all these are reabsorbed and it enters into the peritubular capillaries, means this capillaries, the capillaries which are present in this region. These useful substances, they are absorbed by this wall of lumen and it enters into these tubules. Which tubules? The peritubular tubules, this tubule. So, the useful substances from this lumen, it enters into the blood capillaries here. So, this is the selective reabsorption. The selected substances, they are, or the useful substances, they are reabsorbed. In this region, in the glomerulus, the larger proteins and blood cells are not filtered, except these, all the substances along with the plasma, they are filtered. So, many of the useful substances, these are absorbed by this lumen of the proximal convoluted tubule and it enters into these blood vessels. So, the useful substances which transports from the lumen to the peritubular capillaries, this is the tubular reabsorption. Here, the 80 to 87% of the useful substances, they are absorbed by this proximal convoluted tubule. They near about all the glucose molecules, all the amino acids, all the vitamin C, this one is absorbed by the, and the 75% of water, this one is also absorbed by this lumen and it enters into the blood capillaries or it mixes into the blood. The remaining filtrate, it flows downwards by this descending limb. In this region or in the Henle's loop, this is lined by the squamous epithelium and then it again ascends. The filtration, it ascends and in this ascending limb 25% of potassium, near about 25% of the Na, sodium, and other components, they are absorbed by this the ascending limb, and the remaining substances, they are again reabsorbed by this distal convoluted tubule. This distal convoluted tubule, it is influenced by a hormone which is secreted by the adrenal gland. This one is called as the aldosterone hormone, and this aldosterone hormone, it is responsible for the permeability of the distal convoluted tubule. So, the useful substances which are reabsorbed from the lumen of nephron and enters into this vasa recta or this blood capillary, vasa recta, the blood capillaries runs along with the lumen, the nephron, they are called as the vasa recta. These are called as the tubular reabsorption. So, this is the second stage of urine formation. In the last stage is the tubular secretion. Here in the glomerulus, not all substances, they are secreted. We know only 25% of the plasma is filtered. Therefore, too many substances remain within it. The nitrogenous waste, as like the nitrogenous waste materials and the electrolytes. The hydrogen molecules, uric acid or the creatinine, these substances, they flow along with this vasa recta or the peritubular fluids, as they are not filtered through this glomerulus. The nitrogenous substances like the urea or the uric acid, creatinine and trace elements of nitrogenous materials, they also flows through these capillaries. From these capillaries, these waste products, they enters into the lumen. They enters into the lumen of the nephron. They transports actively from the blood capillaries to the lumen. Therefore, these are called as the active secretion. They actively secretes, means they transports from blood to the lumen. Therefore, this is the active secretion. They directly forms a part of urine. As we know, this process is reversed to the reabsorption. In the reabsorption, the useful substances, they enters into the blood, whereas here the waste substances from this blood enters into the lumen. So, these two processes, the tubular reabsorption and the tubular secretion, they are opposite to each other, in the sense of the useful substances from this lumen enters into the blood capillaries and the waste products from the blood capillaries enters into the lumen. As we know, in a day 180 liter of filtration occurs in the kidney, but the actual urine formation given outside, it is the 1.5 to 1.8 liter per day, because of the 99% of the substances or the solutes, they are reabsorbed by the different parts of these tubules. Therefore, actual urine given outside is only 1.5 liter to 1.1 liter per day. Here, The by the active secretion, the waste materials, they are directly secreted into this lumen or into the collecting tubules, which forms a part of urine. So in this way, in these three steps, the urine formation takes place. I hope you will be understand how the urine formation takes place. In the next video, we will learn about the counter current multiplier system, which is responsible for the hypotonic urine formation. We will learn in the next video. So friends, thank you. Let us study the counter current multiplier system in the next video.